Hi colleagues, my name is Priska Fleischlin and I'm going to present you a little presentation on the policy paper that IFSW just has adopted this year, and it's on the role of social work and the SDGs. For doing that, I'll share my screen. And here we are. So social work's possible contribution to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Why did I write possible contribution? Because it's very different and it varies from country to country. And so it seems a bit better and more appropriate to let you as social worker decide on how to best implement the SDGs. As I said, my name is Priska Fleischlin. I am the IFSW UN Commissioner. I'm also a social worker practitioner, and I'm working in Switzerland, namely in Bern. And here you have the link of the organization I work for. IFSW, the International Federation of Social Workers, is a very large organization. Actually, it has about more than 140 national associations. It contains also several commissions. One is on education, one on human rights, ethics, indigenous people, and the United Nations. The IFSW UN Commission has 22 members in 11 time zones, which is sometimes quite demanding to find a good time for everyone to meet. And here you have a picture when we had our last virtual meeting. Actually, virtual meetings are excellent for us, so we can really talk on international issues. And the next will be on the 3rd of December. We work in 6 headquarters and offices of the United Nations. On the top, you have from the left the United Nations headquarters in Geneva. In the middle, you have the headquarters in New York, and on the right, you have the headquarters in New York. At the bottom side, you have on the left side the UN office Santiago de Chile. Then we have in the middle the headquarters in Bangkok, the office in Bangkok, and on the right side, Karibuni. I'm sure some of you will know this one, which is the UN office and headquarters in Nairobi. Actually, IFSW is looking for 4 additional representatives in Africa. So those would represent social work in terms of social work relevant topics, and also since in Nairobi the headquarters of environment is located, so it would be really good to have a social worker who has a certain knowledge on the issue of environment. So if you feel that you are in a good position and you could contribute to that, your application will be most welcome, and you can send your application to me directly, and then I will talk to the relevant person. So the person should be in good standing with the National Association, and the National Association should be a member of IFSW. These are some of the conditions to become an IFSW UN Commission member. So the relevance of the SDGs for social work are just mentioned here, and IFSW really affirms and supports the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And it's also clear that this is a really a specific momentum to work together to create, to foster social, economical, and ecological transformational change globally. This is quite a demanding topic and goal to reach, but IFSW underlines the important time that we are in now, and that also social work has really something to contribute to reach that goal. And it's not only that we do that alone. IFSW understands social work as a partner, and we are ready to be good partners for governments, but also for other businesses to work together in order to really have a holistic approach and understanding to solve the issues that we have in the area we work. Just to go a little bit into details of the SDGs, so they have these 5 Ps and 3 pillars, and the 5 Ps say that every goal that we aim to work on has to have a focus on people, on planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. And these 5 Ps really highlighting the important approach to not forget people, not forget the planet, and any other issue in any decision that we take, in any development that we are working on. And it's also for social workers important to have that in mind. So it is called that sometimes we work in silos. And so at the bottom side, when we have these social, ecological, and economical goals, it is said that sometimes the professions working in silos, that means that when we talk about our own profession, it can easily happen, and I face that in my own work as well, that I'm working with social workers and colleagues, and then also from other departments, we are working on the same issues, and then of course we easily understand each other well and the focus that we have. But to be honest, sometimes we lose a bit the wider perspective, and therefore it is really critical to have also some other professions and people involved to talk together, to create solutions together. For instance, when we have a new law that is now on the policy agenda, so that we really work in my case with farmers or with entrepreneurs, or also with the government, the people who are working for the government, working together in order to understand the new law and really contributing in an effective way. And here, when we have these social, ecological, and economical goals, these are the 17 goals split into the 3 main topics. And it means that we always have to have all the 3 themes involved. And that, to be honest, for social workers, sometimes we also might not think enough on other topics. So it's really to remember ourselves that we have to keep an eye on the holistic approach, leaving no one behind. I think some of you have heard that already. And it's said that the social work profession is really a key profession to raising awareness on those people, often forgotten, often invisible. I'm thinking of all the people in rural areas, especially rural areas are often forgotten. So we have to have them in mind. So we have to visit them, and maybe also to collect data in order to show the numbers, the amount of problems and issues, and also possible solutions, best practice that we see in various places. But of course, also we have a very large problem in gender balance, but also in terms of certain structure of people who are living in higher prosperity, having more chances than those people in lower income areas. The policy paper it has been built in a 3-year process. So it was actually in Geneva on the bottom side where I started to work on it. And then on the right side, you have the New York area where we could further develop on it. And then it was presented on the last global conference. Afterwards, we got some feedbacks from the National Association, and we worked on it. And so we took it back, and then the renewed policy paper went to the global board, who agreed just this March on having a policy paper on social work and the SDGs. We allowed ourselves to define sustainability, development, and goals for ourselves, because it's important that social work has its own language, and that we also link the SDGs with the knowledge and the papers that we have already. Therefore, sustainability is understood in social work language as a long-term solution for the well-being of the entire ecosystem, including humans and nature, for current and future generations. And so when we work with people, with communities, that means also not only focusing on the issue and the topic right now, but also thinking about the long-term impact. So working especially with the people in need, it means really to consider the steps that might happen. And sometimes we have at the end some various forms and variation that could happen. So for instance, if I do this step or work with the people on this issue, this might happen, or another option might happen. And with this, we create also a long-term development and thinking. And it's not only about the people, but also the ecosystem, which is quite demanding actually to really consider all those issues, but it's worth to trying it. And development, that was really an important discussion to not understand development in terms of economical development. So social work decide to understand development the best for people, the whole society. Peace and planet must be the focus on all activities. And you might remember the 5 Ps we have had. So we have people, peace, and planet. And also the profit should not be available for just a few people, but rather having a majority of people who really profit and not actually suffering from the rich people. Development is a dynamic, all-inclusive process of change within a person, group, or society. And this is really important, that a change, a development begins within a person, and then it goes to a group, and then it goes to society. Goals for social work, we already have a certain amount of goals and also basic documents. So our social work approach mainly creates goals in participatory manner from the bottom up, including the knowledge and the needs from people, leaving no one behind, as mentioned here. Of course, the definition of social work and the ethical principle and many more documents that we have. So when we talk about goals created on local level, we always have to consider those basic criteria. How to work with the SDGs. So sometimes people tend to just choose certain goals and referring to them, saying that, hey, listen, we are working on goal 1. And on goal 1, we are doing this, and this activity. And then some other might mention goal 11, sustainable cities and communities. And so they highlight their activities. But to be honest, from our side, this is not really how the SDGs should be understood, because this is actually one agenda, and it's meant that we have to have all goals in mind. So when we create certain topics and ideas and goals, we really have to go through all those goals and considering them, seeing what we can do for really reaching all those goals. So it might be the case that you're working with the community in the rural area, and you see that you have to work on quality education goal 4. So you create a program maybe with your NGO or with the government on expanding on education. But then you might also realize that goal 5 might be important, so to have a gender balanced teacher class. But then you realize that 6, clear water and sanitation for the school, is really important. Otherwise, the pupils will have problems for having a good sanitation service. But then, of course, all those who are working there, they need to have a good working condition. Otherwise, they would might be in a risk for corruption and other ideas. So you end up on goal 8. And then reducing inequalities, goal number 10, is also important on a rural area, really having a certain balance and having an equality provided. And then, of course, you can go with that through all those topics and see the specific targets, check them and see how you can reach them. And with that, you get really a holistic approach for the SDGs. And so the more goals actually you go through, the better for the SDGs. And this one here are some approach that the policy paper mentions. So it says that we want to have on the left a partnership, that we work together. And bottom up is that we create the knowledge and we bring the knowledge from the communities, from the people together, and also working together with other social workers and other areas in order to bring the whole knowledge together in order to really reach out to the governments. And also the visibility is critical. So that means why not to writing down the numbers of pupils, of people we work for, of all the people who need services, and bring that all together in order to really have more visibility, saying that, hey, see, in these areas, we have this amount of certain problems. And so the United Nations always somehow have a problem of not having enough data available. In this policy paper, you would also see a certain calls for all of us, actually. We should really address the opportunities and the gaps concerning the implementation of the UN SDGs. So we can also draw the attention on the implementation that should be made by the government. And so if we see certain gaps, why not to highlight that? It depends really on the region and the country and the security aspects that you face in work. And we recognize ourselves as agent of change. I found that really good also for my work, that we are really allowed also to work towards the change that we see is necessary, that we hear from the people, so that we really work on that. To assert the need for climate justice that is affecting the people we work with. So climate justice is something that the more we talk about, the more we learn how important it is, as everyone is concerned about. And often we see that those people who are contributed the last for this climate change are those who are suffering the most, from floods, from many natural catastrophes. And there are also those people who can do the least, they can't change the system that well. So that is really a problem. And so we should working on that and creating a stronger social work perspective. Actually, with the UN headquarters on environment, it would be really good to have a social worker who is representing our profession to the UN environment in Nairobi. We do invite the global, national, and local governments to build strong partnership. We advocate for social services and promote a strong and skilled social work profession. It is important to have a good social work profession and that we work together and also extend our knowledge. We integrate into social work education, schools and training, the social protection system and the SDGs. So here, talking about the SDGs and creating a certain language, working with the students on that, can also expand our own knowledge and helping them to better understand the SDGs. IFSW also supports its members to contribute to a critical analysis of power relation and to actively contribute to further agendas and policies. So being critical on power relation is helpful for better understanding the interlinkage of those who are working together and seeing how decisions have been made and where the power is located. Here are some links. If you want to have the policy paper, you will find that on the website ifsw.org. And then there's another website, local2030.org, and they provide a lot of links and ideas on how to best implement the SDGs. Also, you'll find my contact here, which is the email address. And thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you really can enjoy the conference. Looking forward to see some social work colleagues in any other occasion. Thank you very much.